what I like to do a lot of times is tools I know are going to use, home sweaters, home steel, glue, those are given, even a pair of scissors, and then I can keep the pieces of the project I'm working on in here. So next to the career tip, done. Yeah, I'm gonna leave her like that. So but they could easily fit in there and I'm not using it. And I'm showing them like I pulled out the die cuts from it, the pulled out. And this is all about it's for the boys, so I have for the boys to work with. So I'm just going to stick it in here so I can see it. And it's saying that this is the vintage dad. So I'm just going to keep that in there. I pulled out some paper that looks with the shoes. So as I was going through, I want to make just a black dress shoe. That's what we used. And my thought was some black mat and then some black foil pipe. And I couldn't find anything, so I went through like my stash of papers I've already used. I'm like, oh, this will be perfect. It's Anna's, but I can't think of when I got this, and it says AG1379 2009. So gosh, if anyone knows, put it in the comments below. I'm just curious because I don't remember. So I'm going to stick that in there. I'm going to pull out, so this is from, it's Die Cuts with a View, the Glitzy card stack. I don't know that this would be my first choice, but this will work. I'm going to pull that out, stick that up there. And then I also have her set. I want to say this is like for him or for the guys or paper for him. I'm not quite sure what she called it because it just came in an envelope and I didn't keep. So I'm still going to hang on to this. There's not much left, but you can still get a lot of little pieces out of that. I also have this little tray on the side for little pieces like this. Keeps things together. So the last piece is going to be the actual shoe itself, and I'm going to use it on this paper. Now this isn't my favorite paper just because it has this coating on the back. And for this, I'm going to make sure I have my shim under there. And cross your fingers. Considering the trouble I've had in the past, this isn't that bad. And then I could even keep this part as scrap. And you can probably keep these pieces as well for another shoe, because I'm going to inlay those other pieces that I just cut out of the shiny paper. And when these get stuck on here like this, I like to find my scraper and just scrape them off all at once. I have to say I was a little surprised that this is being a little wonky, because it was cardstock-like. But again, I'm going to attribute that to that coating on the back. Is just, it is what it is. So I'm going to poke these out. I presume this is the little tassel type piece. They're not showing it on these examples, but they do show using it right there. I guess someone did put it right here. So I don't know, I'm gonna hold off on this one. But I do have the laces to add. So obviously you want them in the correct spot. So what I might do, because I don't have any laces on me at the moment, I'm not gonna stick this lace part on just yet. I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna run out when I'm out today and grab some kind of laces, I guess. Some cording maybe. I'll look around. I have some white cording, but that just wouldn't look right. So I'm gonna hold off on these two right now. But the rest of it should be glued and ready. So I know you can't see it, it's off camera, it's just sitting right here, but here is how this is working for me. Everything is just right here. And this could just be something that you set aside and or it could even just sit on your desk. And that way, because I do have like a spinny organizer. This sits on a Lazy Susan, but to be honest, it's pretty full. So if you just have like the few things that you need right here, then you're not constantly looking and spinning for what you need. You know, you just need your glue, your pokey tool, your scissors or whatever to have right there. Because otherwise I have those all in separate homes. And when I go to make a card, I'm pulling each of those things out. So here's the back of the card.
husband, aunt, daughter, uncle, son, sweetheart. For my what? Well, that's frustrating. And these are just the same thing. Nice, and that's kind of why I got it. I'm like, oh, look, you can mix and match. There's I love you, I guess. But there's nothing about I did get him a nice watch for one of our anniversaries. But then afterwards, we ended up both getting Apple Watches. So now it just sits in a drawer. And I think for the inside, I'm going to use a little bit of this scrap left over. Or maybe this one. I think this one. I'm going to put it down here. See if I can run that through. And then it'll just fit on the inside of the card, and then I'll put the little shoes there. Okay, so these pieces are on. I need to go get my laces and add that little piece. And then I can write on the inside. So, okay, there we have it. I'll take a picture and insert it here of the final with the laces on it. So this came out really well. I hope someone is encouraged to make one. Go through your dies and find some nice pieces to go with this. Make sure you have your laces before you start. That would be one tip I should have done. But otherwise, I think it came out really nice. To be honest, I like the pattern paper. You probably could just use some plain paper for this. Black would have been nice. But I was trying to use some of Anna's papers in here, and it looks nice in here too. So, okay, until next time, I appreciate you watching. I hope you give this a thumbs up and continue to support my channel. Just give us a subscribe. Sorry, I can't talk. It would help me out and I would appreciate it. And until next week, I will see you then. Happy crafting. Bye.